Hello, English 11 students. So this video is going to help you understand how to use this MAST or MAST acronym to analyze a poem or a text. Now, when your English teacher asks you to analyze something, you might panic because you know what analyze means, but you're not quite sure how to take that step forward and start that actual analyzing. And so I made this acronym to help walk you through very clearly the steps you need to go through to analyze a poem or a text and make things more accessible to you, make you feel like you can kind of like take analysis step by step and help you become successful. Again, I know it makes some students nervous when they're asked to analyze a text, especially when the text is complex. And this term, we're going to be examining some pretty complex texts. But I promise if you go through this step by step process with me, you'll be able to at least get something out of any text that you're presented with. So again, this acronym is a way for you, if you do things in order, this acronym in order, it's going to help you analyze any text, but specifically poems and short uh, prose pieces, help you analyze and get all of the artistic meaning out of that, which is one of the skills that we really, really have to make sure that you know how to do as a junior in high school, right? So the M stands for the mood, the A stands for the artistic choices, the S stands for the summary of the piece, and the T stands for the theme. I'm going to go into detail and talk to you specifically about it, what I mean about each of those things. So first, you're going to ask yourself, and this is the easiest way to kind of get into a piece. There's no right or wrong answer to this. How does this text make you feel? And that's the mood. Some people confuse the mood with the tone of a piece, but the mood is how you feel. So there's no right answer to it. You just need to decide one of two things. It's a really binary option, right? It's, does this piece make me feel wahoo or boohoo? Right? The wahoo makes you feel happy, uplifted. There's a sense of unity or completion. And a boohoo would make you feel kind of sorrowful. It's a bummer in some way, right? So once you've identified whether it's the wahoo or boohoo, that's the easy part, right? Just decide whether it's one or the other. And some people may feel like something's a wahoo, and other people might feel like that very same text is a boohoo, but we all bring our own experiences to a text. So that's okay. The only catch is that you got to tell me what about the text made you feel that wahoo or boohoo, right? Was the text sounding really specifically cacophonous, or did it all sound kind of jarring or percussive? That can lead to a boohoo feeling. Or were the words beautiful and lyrical, and did the words kind of flow together in a lovely way? That could lead to a wahoo feeling. So once you've decided the wahoo or the boohoo, now you can branch out into specific descriptive words that can help you describe the mood more specifically so you can get to um, a more specific analysis of the text. So here are some wahoo mood words. I'm not going to read them all, but if you take a look at these word choices, they're more specific. They all fit under the wahoo category, but they're more specific, right? Proud is very different than relaxed, right? So you would want to apply several of these words to your text or come up with your own to help you get a better picture. Now that we've established, oh, and here's some boohoo words that might be helpful. And it gets hard because sometimes a text is a mix between wahoo and boohoo, and that's okay. So sometimes you might need some words from the wahoo column and some words from the boohoo column. And there's also neutral words like informal, matter of fact, mysterious, persistent. These words aren't necessarily good or bad, but kind of neutral, but they're also really helpful in describing the mood. Sarcastic, it can be a good or a bad thing depending on how the context of the piece. So there's some neutral words that you can choose from too. So once we've decided our mood and our specific mood words, that's the lead in to the text. That should give you a little more insight. And the next thing you do is figure out what is the artist, the writer, what is that artist doing to create that mood? What are the choices that the artist is making to create that effect that you felt when you read the text? And by artistic choices, we mean the stuff that we already studied when we studied Gatsby, right? We studied specific artistic choices like symbolism, metaphor, simile, personification, and especially word choices, like how the author chooses specific words. We call that diction. Specific words that takes into account the actual definition of the word and kind of like the emotional charge of the word. And also imagery. Imagery is a huge um, thing to think about when we're talking about artistic choices. What pictures did the author create in your mind? So identify the specific choices that the author made. Is it a simile? Is it a metaphor? Is it a symbol? Is it personification? Is it imagery, right? And then tell me how, and this is the important thing, that how is where that analysis is. How do these artistic choices affect the meaning of the text? How do those artistic choices affect your mood as the reader? That's where the analysis is. The how do these choices create an artistic effect, right? So again, we're looking for imagery, diction, figurative language, all of the stuff we've learned before. So not learning any new figurative language. If you know additional figurative language, there's frankly 100 more than the ones that we've chosen here. But these ones are just the main ones, right? So once we've decided those artistic choices and how those artistic choices contribute to the mood and contribute to the text, now we can kind of zoom out. And now that we've focused on the artistry of it for a minute, let's just focus on what the text is actually about. Like, what is the story? What is the topic? What are the ideas being discussed here? And so we kind of talk about that as a summary. Now, some of the texts that you're going to get are not going to have like a story with a beginning, middle, and end. So instead of thinking about a summary as a story, think about a summary of the main ideas in the text, right? So here are I know it sounds easy to come up with a summary, but a summary is actually a really difficult thing for students. They think they know, they think they've got it, and then when they go to do it, they get stuck. So here's a step-by-step process of how to create a summary. Carefully read the text more than once. You've got to annotate as you go. You've got to underline, circle, highlight the things that stick out to you. Highlight the artistic choices. Highlight the word choices that stand out to you. Highlight the main ideas and the main events, right? Then identify just 2 or 3, depending on the length of the text, the most important main details or story events. You would have to say the most important things. If you only had 5 seconds to talk about this text, what would you include in those 5 seconds? The most important things. There's a lot of supporting details and supporting events, but you've got to be able to distinguish the main details and main events from the supporting details and events, right? And then to create a summary, now that you have those 2 or 3 main points, now just create a 2 or 3 sentence overview of the text. Make sure it covers the main points and doesn't leave any huge details out. And it's hard because a lot of students have specific details and they don't want to leave those details out, but you have to decide whether that detail is a main detail or a supporting detail, right? And then just read back over the text and ensure that your summary actually does summarize the text appropriately. Now that we have a summary, we've talked about the artistic choices, we've talked about how the text affects us, and we've talked about what is the story or the text about. Now that we've examined these pieces, we can create a theme. And this word theme is hard for students because they confuse themes with other things, right? So people often confuse the idea of theme and topic. So even in my most advanced English classes, students are like, "Mm, well, the theme of this story is love," right? But love isn't a theme. Love is a topic. that the story talks about, right? But what the story says about love, what the story says about that topic is the theme. So, the topic could be love, but the theme could be love can destroy you or love can redeem you. Those are themes, right? So we have topics and then statements that are actually in what the author has to say about that topic. Okay. So a topic is usually just one word, right? But a theme is like a sentence. So that's a good way to think about it too. A theme is the message or the overarching idea that an author is communicating to the reader about the topic. So think about it as a lesson or a message, right? Um, and a theme is usually a statement that combines two or more topics. So when I teach theme, even to my most advanced students, I teach them a recipe to find the theme. And you just list all of the topics and ideas that you have to be included in a conversation about that text in order to have a good conversation about it. List the topics and themes. The topics and ideas, the main ideas of the text. Then start to just mess around with those words that you chose. Combine two or more of the words to try to create statements that kind of are universally true about society, about the world around us, about people in general, right? And then go back and say, does this statement actually represent what this text is saying? So this theme recipe that I teach my students is a good way to differentiate the idea of a topic from the idea of an actual theme. So a lot of students find trouble with their theme. They feel like they can't find an accurate theme statement. And here's what you can do if you really feel like you haven't found an accurate theme statement. If you've completed all the steps and you feel like you haven't come up with a good theme, just add more words to your topic list. Go back and add more words. Read over the text again, add more words, because even if you don't use all of the words in your topics list, adding to the list is going to give you options to create more complex statements. So now that we have this MAST acronym to help us analyze something, let's actually do it. Let's actually analyze a text, right? And so I've chosen to analyze today Driver's License by Olivia Rodrigo, right? So here's the text, and I won't read through all of it, but I got my driver's license last week, just like we always talked about. It's interesting because there's a we there, right? It means she's talking to someone, right? And this is a private conversation because you were so excited for me to finally drive up to your house. But today I drove through the suburbs crying because you weren't around. So already I can see in terms of the story that I'm guessing that this is a couple. I'm guessing that they've talked a lot about driver's licenses. I'm guessing that they're a teenage couple because they're talking about getting a driver's license and that they were excited for the big events in each other's lives. But today, the speaker, I'm guessing it's a girl, I'm the speaker wanted to drive around with their significant other and they weren't able to because the significant other wasn't there. Okay. So you're probably with that blonde girl. Ooh, another Becky with the good hair situation, right? Who always made me doubt. She's so much older than me. Who always made me doubt makes me think that they were in a relationship, but the speaker noticed that her significant other was noticing somebody else. They're so much older than me. She's everything I'm insecure about. And insecurity is going to get you. Yeah, today I drove through the suburbs because how could I ever love someone else? Interesting. So she wants to share her major life events with this person and doesn't want to share them with anybody else. That sucks. And I know we weren't perfect, but I've never felt this way for no one. So this felt this way for no one. This is kind of informal language I'm noticing. And informal language makes me think that this person has a comfortable and or used to be really comfortable with this person because they're speaking really informally. This isn't how you would speak to your teacher, right? And I just can't imagine how you would be so okay now that I'm gone. So clearly her significant other has moved on. They're okay. She's not. Guess you didn't mean what you wrote in that song about me because you said forever. Now I drive alone past your street. Okay, so this significant other made promises that they didn't keep. Promises in a song. You said forever. Now I drive alone past your house. Turns out forever wasn't really forever. That sucks. And all my friends are tired of hearing how much I miss you, but I kind of feel sorry for them because they'll never know you the way I do. She feels sorry for them. Ooh, that sucks. That's deep. Yeah, today I drove through the suburbs and pictured I was driving home to you. Anytime we see the word pictured, I think of imagery, right? And I know you weren't perfect, so we're repeating the chorus again. Okay. Red lights, stop signs. I still see your face in the white cars' front yards. We're describing things, calling up images that we can all respond to. White cars, stop signs, red lights, seeing that person's face, people's front yards. We're driving through the suburbs. Can't drive past the places we used to go because I still love you. Dude, that sucks. Was more things we're seeing, sidewalks we crossed. So driving past all of the memories that they shared together, and it's difficult. I still hear your voice in the traffic. We're laughing. They used to have happy times together over all the noise. I'm so blue. We're through, but I still love you. Ooh, that sucks. Um, so we are repeating the chorus again. Interesting. Okay, so this is the poem that we're analyzing. So I'm going to use this acronym to get kind of an in-depth analysis of this poem, right? So first, I'm going to start with the M for mood. This song is easy in terms of mood. It's clearly a boohoo, right? It's a boohoo. Let me get back to the page that we started on there. Sorry about that. It's clearly a boohoo. Um, I definitely get a boohoo mood from this piece. So then I'm going to identify which parts of the text made me feel wahoo or boohoo. Well, basically the whole thing made me feel boohoo, but specifically the lines like, I can't imagine how you could be so okay now that I'm gone. You said forever, now I drive alone past your street. Sorry for those typos. I'm so blue. I know we're through. Clearly a breakup. Um, then now that I've identified where in the text is making me feel that boohoo, I'm going to find some specific descriptive words that describe that mood. So unrequited, like the idea of loving someone that they don't love you back, hurt, lonely, gloomy, disappointed, sorrowful, despairing. These are the words that I chose to describe that mood. Um, so identifying which specific, now that we've identified the mood, I'm going to go into artistic choices. And I noticed three main artistic choices. First, imagery, the idea of driving past these stop signs, red lights, front yards, sidewalks, right? We just, it puts you right in the idea of like being alone in a car, listening to gloomy music at night, feeling lonely. I feel like we've all been there in some way, shape, or form. That imagery is really intense, right? Then next, the diction, the word choices, the words insecure, doubt, gone, alone, tired, sorry, blue, right? These are all definitely boohoo words. And the idea of blue having many connotations in our language, the idea of sorry, gone, like what this gone, there's a lot of emotional weight to these words that we've selected here. And then there was a symbol, this idea that this significant other uh, wrote a song to her, and now the song is kind of null and void. So this song represents a bigger idea of like promises that people make in relationships and the commitments that they make to each other. And now those promises are broken, just like the song wasn't true. So these images again make it easy for everyone to relate to. So we got to identify the how. How do these artistic choices affect the text, affect the reader, right? They make it easy for me to relate. I've definitely had a time alone in a car when I've been missing somebody. 1,000%. I think everybody has been there, and it can all like help us connect to a time in our own lives when we can relate to the feelings that the speaker's feeling here. The word choices create a sense of gloom and regret. And again, I noticed the informality of the word choice shows us that the relationship between the two used to be comfortable, intimate, and familiar. Um, and even though they're not together anymore, they still have that connection. Um, and then the symbol of the song the song that he wrote to her helps. We've all had somebody make promises to us in one way, shape, or form. It might not have been in the song form, but we've all had somebody make promises and then break those promises. And we can all relate to the feeling of betrayal and sadness when those broken promises happen in our lives. So now that I've talked about these artistic choices, I'm going to summarize this. I've picked three main points. And I thought there's this part in it about the insecurity and about the other girl, but I decided not to count that as a main point. I decided to count that as a supporting point. But speaker got her driver's license, an event that she planned to share with her boyfriend, but now they've broken up and he's with someone else. And the speaker can't share this major life event with the guy she loves. She's driving around missing the guy. The speaker can't get her ex out of her mind because she still loves him, right? And so those are my main points, and I'm going to create 2 or 3 sentences that's a really good, clear overview of this text. The speaker is feeling intense sadness and regret as she drives through her ex's neighborhood missing him. She can't get him out of her mind because she still loves him and everything reminds her of him, right? So now that we have the summary, we have the artistic choices, we've examined it, let's come up with a theme here. And the first step to coming up with the theme is listing all the topics, ideas, major thoughts that have to be included in a good conversation about this. So the terms I came up with were breakup, loneliness, major life events, loss, love, regret, insecurity, doubt, grief, imperfection, betrayal. I'm sure those more, but those are the ones I'm sure there's more, but those are the ones I came up with. And now we combine 2 or more of the topic words to create a statement that's universally true, like that's true about society, about the world, about life in general, right? So I took the words betrayal, love, grief, and loneliness, and I turned it into this statement. Betrayal in love leads to grief and loneliness. That's a theme, right? There's a difference between a theme and a basic idea or topic, right? But if we combine those topics, then we can come up with something that's universally true. Um, so then I took the words, I'm not crazy about these theme statements, but I just am giving you an example. This one's my favorite. I'll do that last. Major life events, loneliness, grief. I added those terms together and I got, it's important to fill your life with people who want to share your major life events with you. Like everybody needs that. That's a definite theme of the song. And then my favorite one was when I took insecurity combined with doubt, loss, and regret. And I said, insecurity and self-doubt can destroy relationships. So this idea that she always doubted him liking this other girl, and she kind of almost made it true in a sense because she had that insecurity and self-doubt. So those are the themes that I came up with, and you might have come up with different themes, but really we went from a text to a really kind of in-depth analysis of that text using that MAST acronym. And so we're going to be working on using that MAST acronym throughout this school year. Throughout this term, sorry. And I've made a sheet that kind of helps you go through the steps that we just went through, but for any text that you're given, right? So here's that sheet, and there's also a list of the reminders of how to define those artistic choices that we've been talking about. And then for each new text, this is a blank sheet with the same process that will help you go through that process that I just went through with you to come to a great analysis of the text. So hopefully those will help you as you learn how to analyze texts on a deeper level. Thank you for watching this video. Thanks. Bye.